hi, I'm Eric. I'm an adult child of an alcoholic.
To the extent that any of your family connects to your work at the Care and Treatment Center with people that are suffering from substance use disorder, is there a connection?
You know, one of the ways I can introduce myself is, hi, I'm Eric. I'm an adult child of an alcoholic. My father drank regularly growing up. He was not your classic kind of like fall down drunk or abusive. He was very functional. As I said, he spent 30 years in banking and another 20 years in retail management. I mean, it's really almost kind of comical. My dad worked in the bank. My mom's a seamstress. I had an older brother, and we grew up in a one-story brick ranch house in suburban Pennsylvania. All we needed was the white fucking fence, and we would, Beaver Cleaver. Everything looked great from the outside, but on the inside is all the dysfunction. Despite my father not being kind of a raging drunk, but it was the don't fight, don't act out, don't be angry, don't ask questions. Very, very kind of rigid rules. My mother was very codependent, came from a codependent family. My father was raised in the 50s, so he had a lot of prejudices from being a product of the 50s. And so, that's not what a drunk looks like. That's what a drunk looks like. You have it good. Don't ask questions, or you should be grateful. Even if I said, this seems a little screwy, what's the deal with this? And so when I went to Karen, right around the time I went to Karen, my mom calls me and says, hey, I got to ask you a question. I'm like, yeah. She goes, what's an alcoholic? I'm like, you need to be a little more specific. I said, here's some characteristics. She said, do you think your dad's an alcoholic? I said, tell me what you see. I haven't lived at home in a number of years. What do you see? And she starts describing his behaviors. I'm like, yeah, dad's an alcoholic at this point, like behaviorally an alcoholic, not just from an attitude standpoint, which I think is kind of interesting. If you read any books on adult children of alcoholic, you take the chemicals out, you can still have all those same behaviors and those same kind of rigid rules, and it's still pretty dysfunctional. And that was my household. Looked great from the outside. On the inside, it's like there's not some stuff that's just not right here. So I talked to my mom a little bit about it. I said, what do you want to do about it? She goes, I don't know. I said, okay, you live with him. If you want to do something, you let me know. Other than that, I'm just his son. I'm not his counselor. I'm not an interventionist. I had never seen my dad drunk. Never seen my dad drunk. But he always came up from the basement where the garage was every single day, 2 beers, and maybe had a shot of brandy or whiskey after dinner. Always. But never saw him drunk growing up. Those behaviors after he retired started to pop out. The environmental constraints popped off, and all of a sudden he had the ability to drink during the day. One of the things we recognized late in his life was he was an uncontrollable shopper. He had some other behavioral difficulties as well. I won't get into great details, but it progressed. The less he had to look right, look good, show up, that he had more freedoms, the addiction was able just to start to take over more and more and more.